Thank you. Hello, I'm Congressman Ed Markey. I'm here with Congressman Peter Welch from the state of Vermont, and we are going to make a statement about the decision made today in negotiations between the President and BP. The people of the Gulf want BP to put this spill to an end and not watch shareholders receive massive dividends. I commend BP for finally acknowledging that it needs to take care of the victims of this disaster before it takes care of its shareholders. It shouldn't have taken members of Congress, like Peter Welch, to circulate letters amongst members of Congress to put the pressure on BP to meet its responsibilities. And it shouldn't have required a meeting with President Obama for BP to do the right thing. What has been clear the whole time is that BP has been more concerned about its own bottom line than it has about what has been going on the bottom of the ocean in the Gulf. I am not against a company paying dividends, but this was an issue of priorities and ethics. We need to make sure that we take care of shrimpers in the Gulf before we take care of shareholders around the world. BP needs to stand for bills paid. Today, we begin with that premise, that BP will stand for bills paid. Not the taxpayers of the Gulf, not the taxpayers of America. BP must stand for bills paid. It must be something that has every nickel and dime of the tragedy, of the harm which has been done, shouldered by BP. This is a good first step, but it is just the beginning of what is going to be a very long journey to fully compensate everyone who has been affected by this tragedy. BP's number one priority should be paying every nickel it owes in the Gulf Coast states. BP can and must be held responsible for the entire cost of this spill. BP must have unlimited liability. There should not be a nickel of taxpayers' money, either from the federal or state levels, to ensure that all of the harm is paid for by BP. That is why it is important that there will now be an independently managed entity in charge of paying claims out of the fund which is going to be created. BP has been more interested in its own liability than it has been in the livability of the Gulf and the lives of the families affected. Today is the beginning of accountability for BP. They will pay for the harm which they have done. Now let me turn and recognize Peter Welch. Peter organized a letter about 2 weeks ago from members of Congress to BP insisting that before they pay dividends, they pay for the harm which they have done in the Gulf. Let me turn to Congressman Welch.
Okay, thank you, Congressman Markey. This catastrophe was foreseeable and it was avoidable. BP's reckless conduct made it inevitable. BP today has finally acknowledged what the American people have been saying for weeks. It must take responsibility for its reckless conduct, it must pay for the cleanup of the Gulf, and it must pay to compensate the countless victims of the disaster, including those oil workers who have been laid off. As the American people grew more and more skeptical of BP's statements, we demanded that BP, not the taxpayer, foot the bill for this environmental and economic catastrophe. And that is why I called on BP to suspend dividends and instead place them in an escrow so those funds would be available to meet its obligation. Good corporate citizens meet their obligations first, and then pay dividends. The President has negotiated a very good first step with this $20 billion escrow account that will be independently administered, a very good first step. But I intend to do all I can, and Chairman Markey, I know, will do all he can as chairman of the jurisdictional committee. We will do all we can to make sure that BP follows through on its pledge and puts its money where its mouth is.